Welcome back to Journey to Vault Warrior. I'm Campter, and it's been a week. You may have noticed that my playmat has changed slightly, and that is because I won a Chainbound Standard event today. Woo! So, I didn't record anything for last week because I had a horrible record and some things in life kind of got in the way. But this week, I took the same deck, and I had a feeling that this deck, I need to play it again. I gotta give it a second chance. And I won. I went 3-0. That is the best I've done in any card game in years. I've always taken second or third or last. And that is probably the biggest morale booster I have needed in a long time. I had a rough week last week. The company I worked for laid off the entire staff, including myself, and it's been hard. October in general has been a very, very hard month for me, and this is, along with a lot of other stuff and help from my girlfriend and a few other things, it's been a long and very rough month. Especially, you lose your job of 5 years at a job that is probably the best job I'm probably going to work in a long time. And I needed this. I needed a win. And the last major thing I've done in a card game setting was the Grand Prix Denver earlier this year, where I played in 9 events and won only 1 match. 9. So yeah, card games and me have not been on the best of terms, but Keyforge has proven me different. And I've proven to myself that this silly little series has a little bit more clout to it, and has given me a major ego boost, and just morale in general. So I needed this. And not to get too kind of emotional and stuff, but it's definitely keeping me going right now, and I'm gonna take this as a competitive victory and a personal victory. So, what was I playing? Well, this week and last week I was playing a Sanctum Dis Brobnar deck called Felimire, the Phony of Infernals. There's the card right there. Hopefully you can see it. I cannot. And this was the deck I was playing. And the main card that I was playing, or this should have been the main victory card, is a card called Epic Quest. It is a Sanctum artifact that says, play, archive each friendly knight creature in play. Omni, if you have played 7 or more Sanctum cards this turn, sacrifice Epic Quest, and forge a key at no cost. Brobnar Dis Sanctum does not have much draw potential. Dis kind of has it, but you want something like Logos or Untamed or even Mars to really kind of benefit off Epic Quest, and this doesn't. So how did I win? Let's go to the deck. So here is all of the cards that really made a difference during the tournament today. We're gonna they're all sorted in different piles based on what they've done to help me out. So we're gonna just kind of work our way through. First of all, Succubus. I played against a Nether Epic Quest deck. This card kept my opponent at 5 for a very, very long time, which prevented him from actually building up enough Sanctum to play cards. Also, just being a card advantage ahead is extremely powerful in most situations. So, Succubus, solid card, did a lot of work. Lash of Broken Dreams, Iron Obelisk, both cards that prevented my opponents from forging keys. Iron Obelisk itself is a very good rare, because as you can see, your opponent's keys cost +1 for each friendly damaged Brobnar creature. This deck has a lot of very strong, beefy Brobnar, so that came into play. And Lash of Broken Dreams is just a staple if you're playing Dis. you need a deck with Lack of Broken Dreams. It's such a good card. We also have Guardian Demon, which is another card I really used a lot. Just individually was a very fantastic card, paired up with the Brobnar and Sanctum with High Butt. Play, fight, reap, heal up to 2 damage from a creature, deal 2 damage to another creature. Ally or enemy. At one point I did pull damage off the Guardian Demon itself and put it onto a Brobnar, which increased the cost of my opponent's key so he couldn't forge a card that turn. Very, very powerful. Snudge, the more I play with Snudge, the more I find him to be one of my favorite cards utility-wise. Fight Reap, return an artifact or flank creature to its owner's hand. It can be my artifact, or it can be an opponent's artifact, or it can be a flanked creature. That's a lot of stuff it can target. So, Epic Quest is an artifact. I can bring that back to my hand. I can play and control my opponent's card by reaping and getting rid of flanks, which you can target an individual card on your opponent's board. You can target their combo pieces, their artifacts. Removed a lot of things. So, Snudge, fantastic card. Again, one I am starting to really love in Dis. We're going to go over to more of the combo pieces. This pile right here consists of Looter Goblin, which is an elusive. Reap for the remainder of the turn, gain 1 for each time an enemy creature is destroyed. Paired up with 2 Loot the Bodies, which is for the remainder of your turn, gain 1 amber for each time an enemy is destroyed. That's pretty good. Pairs up greatly with Blood Money, places 2 energy amber from a common supply onto an enemy creature. You're like, okay, you have a lot of, you have to really rely on combat and killing your opponent's cards to generate amber. No. First off, I got Key to Dis. Sacrifice Key to Dis, Omni, destroy each creature. Yes. I also have Guilty Hearts. Destroy each creature with any amber on it. Pairs greatly with Blood Money. I also, over in this pile, have 1 Earthshaker. Destroy each creature with power 3 or lower. I have Hebe the Huge. Deal 2 damage to each other undamaged creature. And we have Champion's Challenge. Destroy each enemy creature except the most powerful enemy creature. Destroy each friendly creature except the most powerful friendly creature. Ready and fight with the remaining creatures. That can potentially be 3 board wipes, or generating a lot of amber. For the control side, we have a lot of ways to capture an amber, which is really, really kind of detrimental considering I have a Guilty Heart. But if your opponent is playing something like Sanctum, or even Dis, where you have capture abilities, it's a very good control against similar houses. So, Charette, play, capture 3, very good for a creature with 4. 2 Hostage Takers, right here. And then, just because the card is really good, and Inspire, which tags along with a lot of the creatures on this board. So, if I'm playing Sanctum, I'm able to kind of pull some stuff. We also have 2 Terms of Redress. Choose a friendly creature to capture 2 amber. And probably one of the cards that won me my match, game this today, is Cleansing Wave. Heal 1 damage from each creature, gain 1 amber for each creature healed this way. The turn before, I played Hebe the Huge. I had about 6 creatures on the board, and I had 7, because I had a lot of my disc creatures out on play. And he didn't do anything about it. He let me forge a key. Then I played Cleansing Wave. To make it a good measure, I even played 2 Terms of Readiness to filter out any way for him to steal 1 or 2 amber. That was a massive, massive card to play. Some other cards that I really liked in this deck that I don't think I got to play enough. Glorious Few, that one's really good. For each creature your opponent controls in excess of you, you gain 1 amber. Early game, that's very good, especially if they're playing Untamed or Sanctum. I think I used it against a Logos deck that really kind of went wide with a lot of activate and reap creatures. Also very good if you're going to wipe the board the same turn. Grey Monk, fantastic card, just a very solid card. I need to remember though that this card is not a knight, so I cannot use Epic Quest to bring it back. King of the Crag, a very interesting card. Each Brobnar creature gets -2 power. It's very specific, very anti-Brobnar, but he's a 7 power creature, which goes great with Champion's Challenge. So 2 7 power cards in this deck with really powerful effects. This deck is just phenomenal. This deck is the first deck that I have won with. Outside of casual formats. So it's on the list of decks that I'm going to continue to use competitively. I'm kind of scared because I've already generated 3 chains for it, I believe. So that's something I have to keep an eye out for in the future. So keep an eye out. Deck list should be down below so you can see the entirety of the deck. There are some cards I'm holding back because, I don't want to just talk about every single card in this deck. There's 36 cards, but these are the cards that really made a difference during this tournament. Now, we are going into a new set next week. It is Worlds Collide. It's the 3rd set of Keyforge. So I will not be doing a deck opening or anything related to that this week. Next week I do have a special treat for you because I will be competing in a sealed event. And that will bring me into the topic of sealed and kind of what to expect when going into your first sealed tournament. This will be my first sealed tournament, but again, it's going to be also casual and not the most aggressive not aggressive, what's the best way to... It's a very casual group of people I'm playing with, so I'm expecting people are going to be allowing mistakes to happen. You'll be able to take back your turns, actions, stuff like that. So it's going to be very casual, and I think it's going to be a very fun time. So if you are joining Keyforge for the first time at a sealed event, what usually happens? Well, what's going to happen is you're going to be buying your deck from the event. You're going to pay your entry fee most likely, buy your decks. I think we're going to be doing a 3-deck sealed. So you're going to get 3 brand new decks. You're not going to scan them into your, your app, and you're going to play with those 3 decks. And the way we're going to play it is you're going to have 3 decks. You choose a deck. Once you have lost with that deck, you can no longer play with it, and you keep playing until you have run out of decks or the amount of rounds have completed. So what are some of the things you should be looking for? Card synergy, looking for... It all depends on what... It's very hard to say what to look for because I haven't really looked at spoilers for the 2 new factions and what kind of effects you should be looking for. One of the first things you should do is read up on the new mechanics that are going to be added into Keyforge. I believe there are 4, and let me pull out my phone here and check. Alright, the first one you should be looking out for is a mechanic called Exalt. When you exile a creature, you place 1 amber on it from the community supply. Just like capturing amber, if this creature then leaves play, the amber is added to your opponent's pool. When you exalt, you usually get an extended effect, so it's really good to keep an eye on which cards you want to exalt and which cards you want to kind of hold off on. I think some are in-play effects, some are actually active effects, so keep that one in mind. The second effect you want to keep an eye out for is Ward, and this is the one I really like. When a creature becomes warded, you simply place a ward status counter on it. Then, when the creature would be dealt damage or leaves play, you instead discard each ward counter on it and your creature lives to fight another day. A creature may only have 1 ward counter on it at a time, allowing your opponent to land a second attack on a creature if they so choose. It's a better version of evasion, or elusive. So, elusive says when it does attack for the first time, the attack doesn't happen. Warding says would be dealt damage. Instead, discard each ward counter on play and it will not take damage. It also prevents instant kills. So that's a big difference. So your opponent would have to expend more resources to get rid of your board. So it can get rid of things like board wiping effects, or like anything that would deal a large amount of damage or just destroy everything. The third one is Enrage, which is also, it has a status counter. An enraged creature must be used to fight if able, at which point the creature removes all energy counters. Or enrage counter. So enrage is essentially forcing your opponent to attack with that. So you'd be very careful on which creatures you put it on, and make sure that you're putting it on the, like, if you get to enrage an opponent's creature, make sure you put it on really weak creatures or creatures you want to die. If it is on your creatures, make sure you play those cards. It is very, very common for you to forget abilities like that. In more strict events, that would be a warning or even a board state that had to be brought back. So keep in mind with enrage counters that you need to keep an eye on enrage. Write down enraged, or put something on your deck that says, hey, I have to make sure that an enraged creature actually activates and attacks. Another keyword is haunted. If you possess at least 10 cards in your graveyard discard pile, keep an eye out for that one as well. That seems to be very good later on in the game, or if you're really good at building up a discard pile in one turn. So haunted seems like a good keyword. And finally, the biggest mechanic in this set is anomalies. I'm going to put up a picture of an anomaly card right now. Anomalies are specialty cards that, in their description, these incredibly rare occurrences are known as anomalies. They can be manifest in any house. Cards that appear in any house with strong effects, rarer than Mavericks, and without a base house. Denoted by the lightning border, also possible cards that may appear in future sets with a house of its own. So these are special cards that do not have a house and can act as a Maverick, so it can be placed in one of the 3 houses when you open them. Very rare, very powerful cards. I've only seen a couple in promotion, and I'm very scared to see what they can turn out to be. They also look amazing because their border is just pure static and lightning, and it looks really, really good. So those are the 4 main houses, or not houses, those are the 4 main mechanics you want to look out for while playing in events this week. Read up on some cards. Due to leaks, and this is something I also wanted to talk about, due to leaks through Target having the game registered as the same SKU, or SKU, as King of Tokyo, a lot of stores placed the Worlds Collide decks and starter decks on sale a month before release of the set. I looked out for some to see if I could just find some in the wild and talk about it, but I was I was unlucky, but at the same time, I'm kind of glad that they cracked down on it, that I wasn't able to pick any up. Out of respect for the company and knowing that leaks are always a really, really awful thing to deal with, I did not encourage it by buying any online and showing it off before the release date. So next week I will have decks to show from the pre-release, as well as some decks I will be purchasing on my own. So that's the whole Target fiasco. I hope it doesn't happen again. It's very detrimental to local shops and shops that did not have the ability to sell the game because they actually didn't break street dates. So it's a really awful situation to hear that things like this happens, because it can break or break a game. You really can. And if you're very competitive, you want to get on top of that and get as many decks as you can for future events that are coming up that will require Worlds Collide. But I am someone who has weird morals, and I did not partake in it by choice. So that's pretty much what to expect from a Worlds Collide event. Make sure you read up on the rules for Sealed. You do not show your deck list to an opponent during a Sealed event, unlike an Archon. So keep that in mind. Studying up on cards is good so you know what's going on, but because it's sealed, you really don't have to have a collection of cards in the back of your mind on what to expect when reading an opponent's deck, because that is kept secret from you. So that's everything you need to know with that. But that's everything I wanted to cover this week. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know how your week has been going. How have you been doing? Are you doing well? Doing not? Did you open any cool cards? I want to hear all that stuff in the comments section down below. And please subscribe to Lost Sports Tabletop Gaming for more Keyforge stuff. This has been Captor, and I will see you next time in the Crucible. See you there.